So how much of the money raised from motoring taxes is spent on road maintenance? The answer is only 17%.
Yes, only 70% of the money raised from motoring taxes is put back into Britain's road network. 17%. The combined taxes raised from motoring are around £45 billion, but only £7.5 billion is spent on maintaining our roads. The transport budget is £20 billion, and the remaining £25 billion goes to the Treasury. But first, what's the problem with pay-as-you-drive? The government is planning to trial pay-as-you-drive schemes in 2010. The scheme will use satellite tracking to work out where and when you drive. Motorists will then receive a weekly or monthly bill for their travel. The trials will take place in 8 areas, including Leeds, North Yorkshire, Milton Keynes and Buckinghamshire, Essex, South West London and Suffolk. In these areas, some drivers could be charged up to £1.30. £1.30 really would be excessive. Give them a few more years. £1.30, that would get congestion down. £1.30 a mile for driving at peak times on the busiest roads. Pay-as-you-drive isn't going to be popular, but isn't it the job of government to take tough decisions for the good of the country? The scheme could see a fall in congestion. The congestion charge in London, which is one of the most congested cities in London, has reduced traffic, Carol Malone, by 21...
Right.
Not yet. I'm reading my script.
Right.
I'm doing the intro.
I'll tell you after the intro.
Has reduced it by 21%. And also reduced carbon emissions by 16% in the first year. But it's just one of the possible measures designed to get us out of our cars. John Healey, the local government minister, also wants motorists to pay more to park their cars in city centres. Is that a good idea? Wouldn't a pay-as-you-drive scheme penalise people living in rural areas who don't have a frequent and reliable public transport system? Isn't it unfair to penalise people for using their car when they have no other option? And what if you have to drive at peak times on busy roads because it's the only way of getting to work? Let's go. Guess Greg, you seem eager to jump in.
I wouldn't mind paying more to park in central London. I would just like somewhere to park in central London. I don't think rural areas have much of a problem because there's not much congestion in rural areas. I think this is why they're rural and quite remote. I think it's a really good idea to pay. I think it's a great idea. The more you use the car, the more you pay. As long as we can then do away with the road tax and do away with the tax on the fuel, and then just everybody pay as you use. That seems a really, really fair way for me. And so I look forward to it.
You're saying, but only charge in busier areas. So this is, you know, if you live in the country, you live in a rural area, there should be no road charge.
No, I think you still pay. They're just sliding scales. Obviously, at 8 o'clock in the morning in the middle of London, or on the outskirts of London coming into the middle, it should be more expensive. Absolutely right. But not to have another charge for motorists on top of what we already pay.
OK. Greg Proops, Carol, I'm with you in a second. I know you're eager.
No, it's OK. I'm just fuming.
I know you are. I know you are. I'm going to just leave you there to seethe for a bit, and then she will explode as soon as you've made your contribution.
Yes, she's stewing over here.
I really am.
A real coiled spring there. OK, Greg Proops.
Well, no, I mean, you know, I don't drive that much in England. I live in Los Angeles, where you have to have a car to get everywhere.
You're interested in this idea, aren't you? I think you find it fascinating.
I do find it fascinating. I find it fascinating that almost 2 million people signed a petition before, hoping that the Blair government would abandon this idea and that they've resurrected it. I think it's wildly unfair. Cars aren't illegal. Driving's not illegal. And I think it's just one more way, if you'll pardon the expression, to put the screws to the public in every single conceivable way. Exxon Corporation had their highest profits in the history of their company in the last quarter. We've also invaded all the oil-bearing nations under the aegis of the last 2 governments. That's right. And as cars aren't illegal, well, the second largest was Canada. Canada. But we will, because we're close to them in my country. Get over there and don't make me. I just feel like it's really wildly unfair. Why not have the giant corporations that receive all the profits from the sale of oil be the ones to defray this cost? Why does it always have to be people?
No, but what we're talking about here, but what Greg Wallace was saying is, if you had a road charging scheme where you wanted to buy stuff...
Wallace said, I'm not a fan.
Because the bottom line here is, when you have people on a low income, and they're the people who have to drive the big miles to work every day, you start charging them £1 an hour, and it's not going to be worth them going to work. And you have to be on the road at 8 o'clock in the morning, because most companies say we want you in here at 9. So you're penalising the people on the lowest wages.
Carol, what do you do in cities, and this is obviously a big problem with cities, what do you do with do you accept, first of all, that the government has to do something about congestion?
Yes.
Do you accept they have to do
what
something?
I don't
they have to
accept is-
discourage car use.
Yes, but what I do... Yeah, well, they should fix the public transport system.
Thank you.
However, but I would argue with you said... I don't know what you're quoting from when you say congestion has improved in London, the congestion charge. It has not. Transports for London's 6th report said quite clearly that 16% fewer cars are in the city. However, the congestion levels are the same. And do you know why? Because cyclists are clogging up the roads. Pedestrians are clogging up the
I need
roads.
to interrupt here. We spoke to Transport for London last night.
Yeah.
Traffic in London as a result of congestion charge right now is 21% down, and if it weren't for the CC, there'd be 30% more traffic in central London.
But when they produced their 6th report,
well, we've got the latest info.
Yeah.
It would be we'd have 30% more congestion.
They've given you
if
this
it weren't
month's
for the
figures.
congestion
Richard,
charge.
they've given you this month's figure. That's not the annual figure. They published the annual figure 2 months ago, and it said that congestion in London now is exactly the same now as it was in 2002.
But it would be higher if it weren't for the congestion charge, because it was growing.
This isn't... Greg is totally right. This is a total rip-off. They are not... It's naive to imagine they're going to abandon road tax and they're going to put petrol down. This is just an extra charge, and it's going to hit the poorest
Let me make one very quick point here. You said that you saw that public transport, but that takes 10, 15, 20 years.
They've had it.
Right now, we've got congestion.
They've had it. They've had 10, 15, 20 years.
When the congestion charge came in, London was one of the worst affected cities in the whole of Europe.
Still
for
is.
traffic.
It's exactly the same.
OK, but so they had to do something immediately. You've got to do something. You've got to try and get people out of cars. So what else do you do other than charge?
All these big brains who are being paid 200, 300 grand a year to sort out the traffic problem, that's their problem.
This is what they came up with.
Well, it hasn't worked. Congestion charging has not
Have you got a better idea?
Well, no, because I'm a journalist. If I was a transport specialist, I might have. But I haven't.
The answer is no, you have not got a better idea.
Well, of course I haven't. It's not my job. It's not what I'm paid for. However...
But you accept we've got to do something?
Yes. But I think charging people per mile is not the way. And charging
but you don't have another way.
So that's the only way, then. Have you got one?
Yes.
What?
Road charging.
Yeah. So let me give you a scenario. Someone on 22, 23 grand a year, they end up having to pay 15 to 20 pounds a day to travel into the city. How much of their wages do they have left? And how practical is
Well, that doesn't matter. They wouldn't drive in the middle of London. It would cost them more money to park. I mean, parking meters now are earning more money than people in fast food joints. I mean, that's the reality.
That's true.
And
that is actually true.
A report yesterday as well said they're going to put parking up too. They're just hitting the motors because we're easy. It's the easiest thing to do, rather than find a solution.
In the middle of a city, there probably is no reason to use your car.
Okay.
Well, there is if you live 30 miles outside
when something
the city
is too popular, surely you have to charge people to do it.
Yes, charge people.
Greg?
Fascism? No, of course you don't have to charge
That's not
people.
fascism.
Yes, it is.
Back to the fascists.
Wait, are you playing the Nazi card?
Back to the Nazis.
You are worse than Hitler on this. I'm saying cars aren't illegal, driving's not illegal. Were that illegal, then okay, charge people all you want.
Okay.
The oil companies are making an exorbitant profit on things. Plus you have road charges here, taxes. Just to get a car together here, pay for the insurance and all that is exorbitantly
We're charged for water, aren't we, Carol?
Yes.
Why shouldn't we be charged a bit more to use the roads?
We're charged for petrol. We are charged to use the roads. We're charged £400 car tax.
You're charged for every bit of water you use.
Yeah.
Why not be charged for a bit of road
We're charged for every bit of petrol we use.
Would we be allowed...
That's a silly argument.
Would we be allowed to haggle on the road charge?
That's what I was saying.
That's what I want.
That's good, that's good.
From 130 to 90.
Yeah, get it down.
Give me another half mile and let me think about this.
You know,
Let's get some calls, Carol. I'm only playing devil's advocate over here, OK?
Do you know what?
Yeah.
My insides are churning. I'm so excited about it.
I'd like to see you guys wrestle if that's all right.
Yeah, that'd be great. I think that'd be a nice bit of daytime telly.
Some champagne TV.
OK, let's go. Amy, who've we got?
Yep. First caller thinks it's a good idea where there's congestion. It's Michael on line 1.